Are live right on time for the first time in channel history at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Greenwich Means Time or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I do know this is Bellator 278 and 279 Mega Show. Back-to-back shows going on this weekend, so we're getting them all done together. 23 fights in total as of now. Only like one last-minute change with Dante Schiro's fight being added. Not really too much to break down there, going against Scotty Howe. But we'll get to that on the second half of the breakdown. But before I go any further, Lewis, the reports of your demise are false. You've returned. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, life, as you said perfectly in your last one, life caught up and just needed the week to get my life back on track. And I've got my new setup with the monitor, with my laptop essentially being the desktop now, so it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't have the most professional setup in the world. Who am I to judge? But it's good to have you back. Shout out to MMA Wagers. He definitely stepped up and definitely had some good insight on the fights. His shout out of Socrates Hernandez, I guess, wasn't that bad. He was in a one-sided beating, but he's getting credit. I mean, the fight went viral over here. So whether it's for the right reasons or not, that was a pretty brutal beatdown of Socrates. And I don't know why the corner didn't stop it sooner, why the ref didn't stop it sooner. But
the ref mainly, eh?
Yeah, I mean, but also the corner, like, especially with how Hernandez's first fight went. I mean, he's taken more damage in his first two fights than I mean, a lot of fighters have in a long time. But yeah, we'll get off of that subject as well. Super pumped. We're going to be live from Hawaii this weekend. So they're going with Friday and Saturday, which I totally get that. And I think that 3 title fights, I'm perfectly fine with that. Obviously, we've had to switch up Sergio Pettis going out. So now we have a little bit less of a title fight. I mean, all due respect to Juan Archuleta, but, not exactly as exciting as the Sergio Pettis Rafion Stotts fight, but that can always happen down the line as long as all goes according to plan with that one. But let's go ahead and get into this. We got 23 fights to break down. Glove Touch with us and others. So I'm sure that we'll get people along the way. Odds have come out. And just a reminder, PFL regular season starts tomorrow. I did the solo show on the channel last night or yesterday afternoon. I think it went pretty well, but we'll see how the reads.
Madge can do it. Let's go, Madge.
Madge is one of my big spots. He's now the favorite in that fight. Not exactly surprised by that, to be honest. I mean, again, I talked about Monfield quite a bit yesterday, but yeah, go ahead and check that out. It's on the channel now. Moving forward, I believe Lucky Locks will be able to join me for him, but we'll figure that out as we go. But enough about that. We're going to get started here with a guy I mentioned a second ago. I thought he was on the second night. He's actually on the first night. Dante Schiro versus Scotty Howe here. Dante Schiro making a good appearance for himself in his debut. Honestly, came in on short notice and went against the now welterweight champion of the world, Logan Storley. He got a split decision in that fight, and honestly, it was very competitive. Schiro's wrestling definitely showed up. That's definitely what he's known for when watching tape on him. Going up against Scotty Howe here, 5-3 fighter, normally a lightweight. So coming up in weight here, going to be the smaller guy at 5'11" out of Average Joe's Hawaii. Going to see a lot of Hawaiian fighters, obviously, on the card here. Scotty Howe, 5-3. This fight was, I'm not sure how short notice it was, but it definitely was kind of put together a little bit shorter notice than a lot of the other fights on the card. And so, yeah, Scotty Howe came in against, came in and kind of had a decent showing of himself, but got put away in his Bellator appearance against Keani Diggs. He did get rear naked choked in that one, second round. Keani Diggs was undefeated at the time, and we'll be talking about him later. Not a bad fighter at all. and actually had a really good rebound fight. Timothy Tevez, a guy I really, really respect and rate pretty decently. He's had kind of a hard go about it, and not a big guy by any means. Has fought at featherweight, got the decision there. And that fight was in March of 2020. He's been off since then. Other losses coming to Jake Smith by a split decision, and Ryan Walker by decision. So he's, a tough guy. Keanu Dix was able to put him away with the other two. Unable to. Mostly, he's a brawler to, grapple. He has some decent submission skills. Dante Schiro, mostly known as the wrestler here, 6'1", 73-inch reach. Good showing in his debut, even though it was a loss there on short notice to Logan Storley, split decision there. Other losses coming also by decision in his career. He's got good neck attacks with the guillotine, has a decent win over Kenny Robertson, a pretty entertaining fight there, able to come back from adversity in that one. I think that Schiro should look pretty good in this fight and be able to just control Scotty with the wrestling, go to a decision. But and the Musayev, okay, good to know. Well, we have 22 fights now. Musayev and Zach Zane. Good. Give Zach Zane a fucking winnable fight, for God's sakes. That was such a mean matchup anyways. I don't know what Zach Zane did to Bellator, but good. I'm glad I hope Zach Zane gets a winnable fight now. But for this fight, I'm going to go with Dante Schiro. I like the wrestling. I like the size overall. His stand-up didn't look bad at all, and Logan Storley shows he's got good boxing. So, I just think going a split decision with Logan Storley, Schiro's going to be really confident coming in here. Don't love the price, but it is what it is. I got Schiro, and I think that he's going to be able to find the submission. Actually, I noticed a decision, but submission. And Visceral, what are you saying, Visceral? Just tell us what fights the UFC's losing to, because we'll have that tomorrow. But okay, I talked your ear off about this fight. I didn't leave much on the bone here. It's a minus 600 favorite that I probably just overtalked here. But I like Dante Schiro, and I liked him going into the Storley fight too. I was actually on him much more than many people. So it's got good tape. He looks good. I think Schiro could be around for a while.
Yeah, it's a massive size advantage, especially after they rehydrate as well. Scotty's not going to be cutting weight, so it all depends how he looks at this weight class. He might be, rejuvenated essentially at this weight. I'm assuming it was a super tough cut for him, or it's a late replacement here. But being from Hawaii, he's going to have the home crowd. I don't think it's enough. I think Dante's very good. As you said, Logan Storley is. I really rate Logan Storley, and hence he's obviously fighting now.
I mean, he's champ.
So yeah, he's champ. So. He's the man, isn't he? So, yeah, I think Schiro, as long as he doesn't get swept from the bottom by Scotty, I think he can dominate him on the ground. I think it will be a decision, but I think it'll be a dominant decision by Dante.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Minus 600, I think, is a little bit rough on the price tag there, plus 410. Still not enough for me to consider Scotty, but, I mean, the win over Timothy Tevez isn't terrible. It's just, and it is, honestly, like a pretty high-level fight to take for Scotty coming off that loss in Bellator. He didn't look amazing against Keanu Diggs, but Keanu Diggs, for a minute, Bellator was trying to pitch as like the reincarnation of BJ Penn. So,
Plus Dante's got a similar chest tattoo to me.
Exactly. There you go. Chest tattoo. Chest like tattoos got to, they got to stay together. He's biased because of chest tattoo. So beat the comments to it here. Gonna move on to the next fight here. This is one of the fights we're probably not gonna have a ton to say on, based on it being the 1-0 Makoa Cooper here, related to the Coopers taking on Blake Perry, not related to the Perrys. But yeah, you look at Makoa Cooper, and if you don't know who he's related to, I don't know what to tell you. 1-0, 21 years old though, 5'9", taking on the much taller 6'3" Blake Perry, 27 years old. Both guys normally welterweights, so coming in here, Blake Perry's definitely the taller of the opponents here. 5-3 as an amateur. same chest tattoo as me, the rainbow owl. So we got that in common. 4 straight wins on the amateur scene, fighting out of Hawaii here for Blake. So this is kind of a Hawaii on Hawaii battle here. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot that I was able to find on Blake Perry. Some very, very low quality footage. So a little more of a Tapology splurge here. And we see that he is more of a grappler. Submissions over most of his opponents. He did take a kickboxing fight as well. Lost to Blake Cooper. So he has fought the Coopers before. Blake Cooper knocked him out in 9 seconds. So I don't know if that's an advantage or not. I don't know how much you can really gain off that. For Makoa here, but Makoa, he fights like a Cooper, like just straight up. That's that they all just seem to have that compact, explosive hook, striking style. Makoa Cooper, same type of thing here, But again, Blake Perry is going to come in here and be the much taller opponent, But I think the Coopers are kind of used to that, even at 170 being 5'9", pretty short here for Makoa. He is young, 1-0 as a pro, so he's going to have this is only his 3rd fight, knockouts in his previous 3 fights, 2 as an amateur, and as a pro, he got a knockout in a whole 9 seconds, so he has a 9-second KO of Ratavius Thrasher, which got to watch. Was a clean knockout. I'm guessing Makoa knocks him out. Maybe Perry uses the distance a little bit, but yeah, I gotta go with Makoa KO.
Yeah, as long as he can get inside that reach. I'm not sure how good, from what I've seen anyway. It's all amateur, obviously. So what I've seen of the grainy footage of Blake Perry is he doesn't use the reach. He is a grappler primarily, so I don't think it's going to be a problem for Cooper to get inside the reach, which will land those bombs. And there's a reason he has got a little bit of backing towards his name at the moment, and I think there's a reason for that. They're looking to push this kid up. He's 21. He's explosive. He's dynamic. He's ready for this. I think Blake Perry's got a surprise incoming for him, but as long as if he can use that reach and get into the ground, it's Blake Perry. From what I've seen, it's his all day. So I'm gonna take Blake Perry in this.
Ooh,
just because
spicy.
I think when you are 6'3" and you've got those limbs and you love to attack a neck, and you can get, if he gets his limbs,
you see him pulling
his
guard.
back, I don't see him pulling guard at all.
Okay,
but I can see any form of just clinching and grabbing a neck, standing guillotine, jump on the guillotine, that esque kind of thing. So,
I mean, you've
I know
got
it's a big shout, but
yeah, it's a big dog over here in the States. Plus 500 on Blake Perry, minus 750 on Makoa Cooper. I don't hate it though. Makoa Cooper's been 9 seconds in his pro career. Both his amateurs ended pretty short as well.
It's massive odd to put on someone with no experience.
Yeah, and 21 years old. I mean, we've seen before Noah Dung as well had huge odds, and a couple of his wins. We're going to be talking about Bobby King, who just busted the Israeli prospect. I mean, young in your career is when you're supposed to lose if your name's not John Jones, which we all know John Jones lost to Matt Hamill at about 22 years old, 21 years old. So
Matt Hamill stood up with that bloody face going, yes.
Matt Hamill, that is the most earned win you're ever going to see. So Matt Hamill, the only guy to maybe ever defeat John Jones. We'll see. But yeah, a shocking disagreement here. Makoa Cooper for myself, Blake Perry for Mr. Lewis. If you
get inside that reach, I think Perry's going to die, but I think Perry's going to.
Yeah, I think he's going to. Yeah, I'm betting that he gets inside the reach. One Cooper already did it. I think another Cooper can do it. It's Cooper MMA math, though, so beware here.
Let's go with the underdog. I'm going to go more underdogs today.
Hey, I think there's definitely several underdogs, and I don't hate the shot again at plus 500. You don't need to bet it highly. This next fight could be one of those fights I think could be an opportunity, though, if I'm being honest here, in Weber Almeida taking on the fellow Brazilian Fabricio Franco here. This should be an interesting fight. I like Weber Almeida quite a bit. Always wait till face-offs to make sure the size difference is accurate for Bellator anyways. Yeah, not a bad idea. Visceral, I also don't see Blake Perry's number shrinking. It's only going to get larger. I don't think you have to rush to the window at this point. I think, if anything, people are going to see Cooper and ship it because they're going to be like, oh, Ray Cooper's brother or cousin, Ray Cooper's relative. Let's go. He's in Hawaii. So, yeah, no rush at all, but I don't hate it at all. But I've got Makoa here. For this fight, very excited to see how this one goes. I really like Weber Almeida. He's a very fun prospect to watch, not as fun of a prospect to bet on. The silverback, he kind of drives you a little bit crazy in a particular fight with a particular fighter we're going to talk about here in a minute. Avex Jim, though, facing the MMA Masters. Fabricio Franco, 27 versus 34. Weber Almeida is 34 years old. Always surprising how old he is when he's only 5'1", 5-1 in his career. But we'll talk about Fabricio Franco first here. Apologize, my computer's having a little bit of loading issues here, but yeah, Fabricio Franco, 8-4 here, and at 27 years old has the experience edge over his 34-year-old counterpart here. 5'9", but the reach is pretty similar here against the 5'7" Almeida. Of course, with Franco, it's going to freeze up on me, but he's called crafty for a reason. I think he's very, very well-rounded, actually, and he's, had a decent level of tests so far in his career. What we've seen with Almeida so far early in his career in his one loss is that what really gets him is, kind of grit and tenacity.
Yeah.
And I do think Fabricio Franco can kind of challenge in those ways. Coming off a loss with Combate Global last September, he's 5'9". It was Miguel Villegas, not a bad fighter at all, actually. Overall, has tested himself pretty well, aside from the Cardozo fight, 0-6, his last few. Have been against decent level of competition. He's a good striker, and Weber Almeida, also a good striker. So with Franco, it's just I think it's a closely matched up fight. I will say that much. My issue with Franco is his ability to make this weight. It's the reason this fight was canceled before. If he makes the weight, I am interested to see kind of how these guys match up physically, because I do think he'll be the bigger guy. In this fight, Johnny Soto being the last fight for Weber Almeida, we all kind of know how that went. Franco doesn't exactly fight like Johnny Soto, but I do think he can kind of implement those aspects of his game and make this kind of a gritty, dirtier kind of fight. Weber Almeida likes a lot of space to his strikes. He likes to be able to move. He likes to be able to counter. So, we've seen he's had success in Bellator, 4-0 prior to or 3-0 prior to the Johnny Soto fight. But, a part of me just, thinks that, if Franco doesn't get clipped, if Franco comes into this fight and looks okay at the weight, which is a question for me, definitely want to see that. But this is a dog I'm leaning towards, honestly. I really just didn't like what I saw out of Almeida when the going got tough. And for me, I do think Franco's the tougher, grittier guy in this spot, and legit striker as well. So I think the striking is going to be close as well. So I'm going to edge towards Fabricio Franco here. Close, gritty decision.
Okay. No, I like that as well. He's definitely more dynamic, Franco. The only thing I worry about is, you touched on it, where he counter strikes. What Almeida likes to do is he likes to throw feints to lure the person in. And the way Franco fights is he's more than willing to go forward. And that's what worries me, because he sits on his punches so beautifully. Almeida, he has a lot of technical ability, and that's what worries me. If Franco moves forward and gets a bit reckless and gets drawn into those traps, he's going to get switched off for me. I know it's, I said I'd go for more dogs, I think, but Weber Almeida, he's going to be significantly larger, definitely bigger. I'm assuming he makes weight fine, but I do have Weber Almeida. I think he's going to finish someone like Franco. I think he is getting better and better. The Jono Soto fight, everyone's got one of those blips on their record. Everyone's got one of those learning moments where you just kind of get outclassed everywhere. The Salim fight was that to me was very good because Salim pushed forward very heavy, lured him into the trap, switched him off. I think Franco could go down a similar route, so I'm going to take Almeida by a knockout.
Okay, yeah, totally fair, and I might be overreacting kind of to that Johnny Soto fight.
No, I think it's a close fight. It just depends whose game gets pushed harder, I think. But it's a lot of good points.
Kelly coming in here with He Lives. Yeah, the reports of the demise of Lewis have been false. I decided to bring him back to life.
Gone for 1 week.
Yeah, trust me, they all were.
I was only gone off your channel as well. I was still on my channel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. They're just like, what happened? I wonder what happened. And it's just like, yeah, I just built into the drama. You know me. But yeah, should be a really good fight. 2 of the first 3 fights we've got a disagreement on. Not what I was expecting, to be honest. I was expecting at least 1 though. But next fight here, our boy CJ. I fight everybody in multiple divisions. Hamilton. What can I say? I respect the guy so much. But it's again like he's doing this all the time. He's just taking another really tough fight here. This time, Eric Goyito Perez, the Mexican. Here, still only 32 years old, Jackson Winklejohn, 5'8", 68-inch reach. Gonna have the reach disadvantage that the fast 35-and-a-half-year-old, 5'6", 72-inch, the Autobot now, which I think is a new nickname for CJ, at least to me. I'm not familiar with that one. Here, but 15-9. He's 15-9, 2-fight losing streak, last lost in Bellator. I mean, but he took on Matthias Matos. I mean, that's a very, very tough fight. And before that, Magomedov. I don't need to tell you anymore. Tough fights. The fight against Jimmy Flick, tough fight. That's his last 3 losses. He beats a certain level of opponent. And I just hate to say it, but if you lose to CJ Hamilton, you don't belong in any of the 3 major organizations. And probably don't belong in LFA. Maybe.
Jesus, that's harsh.
And maybe Cage Warriors. But if you beat CJ Hamilton, here's the good news. You definitely belong in LFA. You definitely belong in Cage Warriors. And you probably belong beyond that. The names I just named off. And then before that, just so I can prove it. Jordan Espinosa, and that was a split, by the way, before he got into UFC. Casey Kenny, decision. I mean, I'm not wrong here. And then Cody Gully. We all love Cody Gully, right? Well, fine. There's once in a while a wrong one in there. But before that, Jared Brooks, before he got into the UFC, and, he's still doing the damn thing. I mean, he's faced the who's who, but he doesn't beat the who's who. And I don't mean to do so much about that. But what he is good at is, he's very athletic still at his age, but he's definitely starting to slow down here. He was originally supposed to face Jared Scoggins. Scoggins did withdraw. Eric Perez is taking this fight on a little bit of short notice, so that's a potential positive for CJ Hamilton here. But, I really do think that Perez got released from the UFC too early. I like how he's looked since exiting the UFC. I like that he's testing himself in grappling as well, staying active. I'm a huge fan of fighters doing that. Yeah, he lost by an arm bar in combat jiu-jitsu, but still – Elias Anderson, legit jiu-jitsu guy. The Blaine Shutt, the Blaine Shutt fight was really, really, dominant by Perez. Yeah, it's Blaine Shutt, but still doing what you need to do in those spots. I had a close fight with Josh Hill, who I rate very highly. Toby Misch fight, obviously a tough one there, but Toby, better than that record and came in looking huge that fight, to be honest. So I think that Eric Perez should be able to take this one, works the grappling, and gets I'm going to say a rear naked choke finish of CJ. I just think CJ is starting to lose that step, and these kind of beatings or tough fights are starting to take their toll. So I got Eric Perez here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think he's going to be looking for that sub. There's a reason you're doing grappling tournaments. There's a reason he's improving there. CJ, as nice as he is, as cool as he is, he's got nothing left for this. I really don't think so. I don't think he offers anything Eric Perez hasn't seen, can't deal with. I don't think he's better than him anywhere, to be honest, other than maybe athleticism, but that's not going to win you a fight on its own. So, yeah, I've got Eric Perez. I think a late sub. I think there might be a lot of back and forth, just a lot of grappling with not a lot of action.
I mean,
but a lot of
it seems like CJ is slowing down in the second round significantly. He comes out that first round looking really, really good. You know, I mean, even one of the last two fights, I think he arguably may have won the first round. And so, but I mean, he's
against
pouring
Matthias,
it all.
Was it?
Yeah, against Matthias, I believe. Yeah, but he's pouring it all in there. And yeah, I just think Perez takes this. This is my favorite spot so far on the card. It's only minus 300 for Eric Perez. I do think that's parlayable, and I think he's reliable.
Do you know what a Perez sub is?
I mean, I don't have it in front of me. They just are releasing the odds now. So, I mean, I would have to guess it would be close to even money on the sub, just because CJ has been subbed a few times in his career and Perez, you know, looking that way. But either way, minus 300 plus 230 on CJ Hamilton. I expect that price to continue to shift towards Eric Perez as we get closer here. So, should be a good one for you know, both. I think it will be exciting, but yeah, we're both on Eric Perez here, back on the agreement train here. We did get informed that Zach Zane and Tofik Musayev is off. I'll give you a wild guess who we were both going with. We were both going with the
Zach Zane.
Yeah, Zach Zane to shock the world here. Hey, he did it. I got a ticket busted with Dong against Zach Zane, so I can't judge. Minus 1,200 was Musayev, by the way. So yeah, we were both around Musayev there. That price was probably going to get to the 2,000 range by the time the fight came up. It's sad, but it's just what happens here. But next fight, not something I love saying. It's a catchweight fight. I just don't like catchweight. It's my own thing. Manny, but hopefully it's a good fight here. I like Nate Andrews a lot out of PFL. You know, had a rough debut though in Bellator, taking on Manny Muro, the Dragon here. Very exciting fighter. You know, and I give him credit. He doesn't say no to anybody. So he's another one of these guys who it shows that he doesn't say no to anybody at 10-7 overall for his career as Manny. So it's the Dragon versus the Snake here. Yeah, I don't know if there's a joke there about Game of Thrones or something, but you know, either way, Nate Andrews, you know, a very good fighter here at 16-4. Face a very tough level of competition over at PFL. And of course, for this breakdown, it's going to give me issues with the internet. So a little stuck on the screen here, but
did you think he was going to lose to Sadawad?
Definitely not. No. And that's where I'm a little bit concerned about Nate Andrews, is that I was pretty shocked. What did you think about that fight going in? Either you're muted, or at least I can't hear you on my side. Cannot hear you on my side.
Yeah, just unplugged and plugged back in.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, I thought he was going to handle Sadawad pretty well, to be honest. When he came out of the EFL, he looked like he could handle anything that kind of threw at him, and then obviously,
yeah, and a little bit surprised here. So 16-4, 2 straight losses for the 38-year-old, 5'11", 76-inch reach of Nate Andrews here. He also lost at Cage Titans in a grappling competition against a grappler I'm not as familiar with, but good, stayed active. Obviously wasn't too bad, but it was an ankle lock. Had a close fight with Chris Wade. Chris Wade's looked great with PFL. Both his fights were competitive. The Rashid Magomedov fight, obviously a statement win there for Nate. But yeah, came over to Bellator. Syed Awad, it seemed like a very good matchup for him, and he just ate every strike from that Syed Awad seemed to throw in that fight. Syed Awad turned back the clock while the clock seemed to be catching up with Nate Andrews. So a little bit of a question here, taking on Luis Manny Muro here. Luis Manny Muro, or Luis Muro, or Manny Muro, whatever you want to call him, he's younger, 35 years old here. 12-7, not 10-7. Lost his last fight out, 5'10", 72-inch reach. So going to have a 4-inch reach disadvantage here, fighting out of Oklahoma. I mean, Manny, he's a gritty guy. Faced Usam Nurmagomedov in his last fight. So the positive here, definitely, you could say that at least he doesn't have to face Nurmagomedov. That's definitely good. Before that, he was on a 3-fight winning streak. One of those fights coming in Bellator over the before that, a 3-fight winning streak with 2 of those coming in Bellator. He's been in Bellator a couple before, faced a decent level of competition. He has a split with Nick Newell, which, is okay, but I thought
Nick won that fight as well.
Yeah, I do think that, yeah. And it's just, it's hard for me to judge Nick Newell fights. The Devin Powell fight, he did dominate that pretty well against a fellow grappler here. It's just, I just don't really rate Muro that highly. He's, for the most part, I think going to be able to fight this fight the way that Nate Andrews wants it to be fought, kind of looking for a gritty fight with some, takedowns mixed in with the grappling overall. His striking isn't a huge, threat here. He's also been put away by strikes in 3 of his last 4 losses. So if anything, I think Nate Andrews could kind of light him up with the striking here and get back in the win column. I expect a much better Nate Andrews here, so I'm going to take him. Otherwise, I'm out of here. But yeah, I think that Andrews, Andrews has choked him out before. I think he can choke him out again.
100%. I think, Nate Andrews has to win this fight.
Yeah,
Nate Andrews loses to Manny Muro. It really shows the level he is at. I don't think it's anything to do with his physicality, his skill set, anything. It's probably just all mental, to be honest. It's just his headspace going into these. So
he should be in good
to win.
Yeah, he should be in a good headspace here against Muro. And another -300 I really like. -310 on Andrews. A little bit of maybe an overreaction to a Saito odd loss, but I think I'd pair up Nate Andrews, no problem. Here, so I don't think
Manny can do what Sada Wild can do either. Like, he's not going to just get clipped that early as well. It's just not.
And it's not like Nate Andrews showed he was getting worn down in that fight. He just got clipped. I would take Perez and Nate Andrews in an easy parlay there right away. Going to get a good number on that. That is the opener on the main card, by the way, as well. So clearly, Bellator likes Nate Andrews. They're giving him a favorable matchup on the main card. Here, and coming off a bad performance, so it should be interesting. But move on to the next fight here. This is a spectacular fight at 205 between 2 guys I really like, Christian Edwards and Grant Neal. I think this is going to be a really good fight. 2 high-level prospects here, or 2 high-level becoming contenders eventually. So yeah, prospects. 23-and-a-half-year-old Christian Edwards, coming off that loss to Ben Parrish, obviously came into that fight as a gigantic favorite. He got clipped and taken out by Ben Parrish, and Ben Parrish better obviously than a lot of people realize. Grant the Truth Neal also coming off of a loss, so interesting to see how both these guys do here. Grant Neal at 6-1. Last fought in September at Bellator. As I said, 26 years old, went to Colorado State University Pueblo. Wrestler there, wrestling style, just got slightly out grappled and wrestled by a guy I know we both really rate highly, in Alex Easy Polizzi. It was a split decision there. Before that, took out Tyree Fortune, Hamzan Salim. Got a decision over Maurice Jackson. Got the rear naked choke as well. I've been in Bellator since his 2nd fight of his career. He's eased up. He's not eased up, but increased the competition gradually. And he had a really good fight with Alex Polizzi. I think that's a fight that he can get much better from as a split decision. And I think it definitely earned it. Definitely a different kind of loss here for Christian Edwards that he's coming back from. Was supposed to fight in February against Kevin Haley. With that, Edwards tested positive for COVID. So had COVID less than 2 months ago. Definitely a big worry for me coming into this fight. Took on Simone Biong, and he looked okay in that fight, but honestly, he kind of struggled a little bit more with that fight than I think he should have. The Hamzat Salim, he did finish Hamzat Salim. They both have beaten Hamzat Salim, so congratulations there. For me, I think that coming off of COVID 2 months ago, Grant's going to wrestle up a storm here, I think, and just kind of look to overwhelm Christian Edwards. Christian Edwards himself has good defensive wrestling, though, and I do think the striking edge slightly to Christian Edwards with regards to the reach, the just diversity, the power, and overall. So it's all about it's kind of all about the recovery from COVID, which is obviously a very tough thing for anybody to predict. I don't like coming off COVID 2 months ago and coming into this fight, though. This is how much is he really able to have trained? Going from Kevin Haley to Grant Neal as your next fight, too, is a little bit of a confusing move for me from a managerial standpoint. So all these things together, I'm going to go with Grant Neal. I think that I think that Christian needed to take several steps back after that performance against Ben Parrish. Grant Neal losing a split decision to Polizzi. I don't think Neal comes into this fight at all unsure. And I think he got some really valuable experience there. Similar to how Polizzi looks so much better after the Anglicus fight and has continued to. Losses in MMA are hugely valuable, especially when you don't get your lights put out. So for those reasons, I got Grant Neal to wrestle this one 15 minutes. Grant Neal by decision.
Yeah, this is a really good stylistic matchup for me as well, because Christian Edwards is going to look to strike, and no doubt Grant Neal is going to look to wrestle. So, can he wrestle? Mm-hmm. That's the only question I have in my head. Christian Edwards, I don't know what he was thinking, because he kind of froze up against Ben. I know we both picked Christian in that fight as well.
Of course.
And we're quite shocked at how good Ben looked, coming off that check Love took and just sat him down. The power was evident. He had his chin exposed, Christian. He froze like a deer in the headlights. And that's the inexperience, and I hope he's learned from that. But again, he got shut out completely, like out cold. It reeks of a decision win for Grant Neal to me. I think he's just going to charge at him, turn the corner, get the right angle, double leg, pin him to the floor, hold him down, half guard, hammer fist, as he does. Look to get the back when the overwhelming with strikes, and he could take the back of Christian. The only issue is Christian's a big boy. Yes. I think it might be the biggest guy Grant's ever faced, and when you go down, if Christian Edwards can get his underhooks in, you are not getting them out. And I think Christian could really do some damage in a clinch here. So, to me, can Christian hurt Grant Neal enough to KO him? I don't know, to be honest. He's KO'd people, but not necessarily with like one clean punch. It's a kick he's done it with. Was it Cesar Burnett? He did it too, but that was his debut fight, I think, Bennett's debut fight. So, I don't think Christian Edwards is as good as his record. I think he has had it a bit easy. The Beyond fight, again, didn't look amazing. Won the fight, great. I think Neal's fought better people. That Polizzi, I really respect that fight. And for that reason, I am going to go decision by Grant Neal. I think he'll win a 30-27 grind. Yeah,
I think the odds have this one pretty nailed. Minus 150 on Grant Neal, plus 120 on Christian Edwards. It's crazy for Christian Edwards to go from, I believe he was a minus 1,400 at close last fight as a favorite to now an underdog. That's the game of MMA. Christian Edwards, before that loss though, was, really being, talked highly of by a lot of fighters. Tyree Fortune is similar, tall, lengthy striker, not nearly as talented as Edward, not as tall, definitely a comparable matchup. Yeah. Tyree Edwards is terrible though.
Comparable in stature and everything though. Yeah, absolutely.
I would take Christian Edwards 10 times out of 10 over Tyree Edwards if they were to fight. I'm definitely concerned in all seriousness about the travel for Christian Edwards with COVID so recently as well. I mean, I'm not saying
there's certain... how bad it even was. He might have just tested positive but not have any symptoms.
Very true. Yep, you're right. Yeah.
Who knows?
Either way, close fight should be a good one. I'm really excited. Whoever wins that fight definitely is going to get pushed by Bellator. So next fight, speaking of pushed by Bellator, one of these guys is going to, I think, take a step into superstardom after this fight, honestly, because I think this is a This is a huge, huge fight. Janay Lugo taking on Danny Sabatello. Danny Sabatello has kicked that door absolutely in and said, I am here to wrestle. And very quickly has become, just a very reliable guy. His only loss coming in Titan FC in a championship fight to Erwin Rivera by KO in the 4th round. That's not great, but still, a championship fight, and just I think that loss ended up being very good for him. 8 American top team, 5 straight wins since then. Wrestle. He's extremely confident in himself. The Blackshear championship fight over with Titan showed he could go train for 5 rounds and go the full distance. Really impressive fight there. Taylor Moore tested positive for steroids after their fight, and he still ragdolled him to 2 10-8 rounds. Brett Johns, he completely out-wrestled and just dominated in that fight. He was supposed to come back against Johnny Campbell. The whole event got canceled due to COVID, so he's been off for nearly a year coming into this fight, and I think he's going to be chomping at the bit. He's a grappler. He's a wrestler. Hasn't faced a crazy level of competition, but once he stepped up in the last few with the Damon Blackshear and Brett Johns, passing with absolute flying colors. The guy is so aggressive. He's so assertive, and he's in tremendous shape, and he knows what he wants to do in there. Janay Lugo, A1, very, very good as well, and much, much more well-rounded of an opponent here. 8-0 himself. He's fighting out of Combat Club now. Last fought in February. He has fought more recently. Took on Brian Moore in that fight, and we both really respected Brian Moore. Going into that fight, said it was a huge test for Lugo, and for Lugo to pass it as well as he did. A little bit on Brian Moore, starting to slow down, I'll admit that.
I picked Brian Moore in that one as well.
Yeah, I think I did too, to be honest. But yeah, Lugo really did show that he is really improving his game overall. Really good jiu-jitsu, good stand-up as well. Finished Keith Lee at the buzzer in their fight. And overall, just, controls this fight start to finish. He has a lot more decisions on his record here. But, he's good everywhere. He really is. He has not faced, the level that Danny Sabatello has faced in his career, though. Danny Sabatello has a ton of experience here. He's going to be on Lugo early and often. I have not seen Sabatello slowing down, and I don't see him slowing down here. So Lugo's going to have to really gain his respect and with the strikes at some point in this fight, because I don't see him being able to pull off a submission. And I just don't think he has the game to keep Sabatello off him. I think Sabatello is just going to be all over him and not give Lugo the space here. I got Sabatello by decision, and a pretty impressive one at that.
I can't add anything to that at all. You've nailed it, man. He's got one plan and one plan only. He's going to hump him for 3 rounds, and he's going to win. And I cannot see Lugo keeping him off him for 15 minutes, because if he gets him down, he's then got the task of standing back up. And from what I've seen, I don't think you can keep Brett Johns is a whiz on the mat, and he could not stop the relentless pressure of Danny. I really think he's a dark horse. I think you'll see him fight for a belt soon.
Yeah,
I really rate Danny Sabatello. I can't really add much to what you said. But yeah, he's the man. I think he's going to win a unanimous decision as well. But I really hope Lugo has a moment in this. I want to see Sabatello in trouble.
Yeah, because the time he was in trouble, he was put away by Erwin Rivera. And I think this is going to be a lesson for Lugo, and a pretty tough one. Still 8-0, very young in his career.
If Lugo does win, my God,
exactly. There's a whole lot more to lose here for Sabatello. But I think Lugo can lose this fight and be fighting in 2 months and be fine, to be honest. He might not, so it's not a super dangerous fight for Lugo, to be honest. I actually like the decision to take it, but again, minus 200 for Danny Sabatello here. Was quite surprised the line was that wide, plus 166 on Lugo. I think a lot of people are going to be taking Lugo, and I would just say by everywhere I saw someone mention that Lugo has the stand-up to take 2 or 3 rounds. I don't know about that. I really don't. And it's just again.
Kelly Garvey's named it, mate. I think it's just too much too soon. I agree with him.
Sabatello is annoying. Sabatello is annoying. Let's go, Lugo. Hopefully, a lot of bettors think that, so I can keep the line close to what it is here with Sabatello. I have no problem. Why is he annoying?
Is it his personality?
He talks a lot of shit and he just wrestles.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah, yeah. But when they don't, fight the way that people want them to, they're boring or whatever.
No, it's all fun. No, nothing's boring.
But we're on to the co-main event of the evening. Yeah, Sabatello wins fights, just not fans. That's fair. It makes it better to bet on him again. We're on to the co-main event here. Enrique Barzola taking on Nikita Mikhailov here in a fantastic fight. This fight is so good, so close to bantamweights here. Barzola, former UFC fighter who they just kind of kicked out because they were sick of watching him screw things up for them. 17-5-2 for the Peruvian, 32, nearly 33 years old by the time the fight starts. Taking on Dastari Oskal, Russian representative, also known as Alexander Nevsky's gym, and Nikita Mikhailov. Nikita here, I'll be breaking down first here. I really liked what I've seen so far of him. Still only 23 years old. 9-1 overall, 5 straight wins. Last fought this past January with Bellator, where obviously he got the win there. He's very, very well rounded. Put away Blaine Shutt in the third round of a little more of a competitive fight than I think people were expecting. Blaine really did show up for that fight. Before that, put a beating on Brian Moore in that fight, but Brian Moore had his moments too. So again, it was passing the Brian Moore test. Really, really, impressive there. But overall, other than that, faced a lot of Russian fighters. Not familiar with a ton of them. Did have a majority decision over a 13-0. Aminov that I've gone back and watched with Fight Nights Global. It's a very good fight. He's well-rounded. He's, going up against a really tough task here and a guy who, mirrors him a lot, Enrique Barzola. Very, very good grappler first and foremost. AKA here. Looked great against Darian Caldwell in their fight. 5'7", 70-inch reach. He's, a pretty big bantamweight. Lost to Mazavar Evelev, went to decision with him. Definitely a really, really impressive fight to look back on now. And, again, it's just, for me, Barzola making bantamweight as easily as he did was really impressive. Putting away Darian Caldwell in the third round like he did, impressive. He's faced supreme level of grappling competition in his last 3 fights as well. So definitely he's going to come into this fight, ready for the kind of wrestling grappling war. This is so close.
I think Aaron's gone, guys. Hit something in the chat, guys, so I know Aaron. It's Aaron, not everything. There you go.
Sorry about that. I hit back on the wrong screen. But yeah, I really like both guys quite a bit here. I'll get the screen back up here, but it's so close. And, I hate to do it here. But with this one, I think I just got to sit back and watch from a betting perspective. But yeah, I like Nikita Mikhailov just slightly here. I think that being, oh, it's the hoodie. Okay, we'll get rid of the hoodie then. I just think Nikita edges this one out. I don't have a really eloquent way of putting it other than that I, just think Nikita is going to be a little bit better on that night. I don't know. I think Barzola has a lot of advantages here. He seems to be making the 135 division no problem, so that's great. He's going to be the bigger guy here. I think Nikita is going to have to use the speed, going to have to keep this one on the feet a little more than he's been used to. But yeah, it's super close. I'll take Nikita ever so slightly.
I'm glad. I'm hoping you are, because I want some more disagreements. I'm on Barzola here quite a lot. I think he's very underrated. I think he should still be in the UFC. I think that Evloev fight was brilliant. Evloev he's the future of the division. He's one of those guys. The Rani Yaya, I don't know how that was a draw, to be honest. I did have him winning it. Darian Caldwell, that fight to me is magnificent, because I really rate Caldwell, and to finish him like he did, I think he's suited to this sort of organization. He could be a main man here, which he was never going to be over in a promotion like the UFC. So I like Barzola here. I think Nikita's good. I can still see some holes in his game. I think he's young and raw.
And it was Josh Hill who was originally supposed to have this fight. Mikhailov is taking this fight on short notice and traveling from Russia to Hawaii.
So I'm definitely betting on Barzola as well for this one, I think.
Yeah. Yep, that's maybe one I regret, but either way, I'm going to take Nikita here. Coming out of okay, here's the thing about Russians. They don't stop training. It's not like he's at Stario-esque, just like sitting back out of shape here. I'm not betting it. Like I said, it's a close fight. So if you're on Barzola, whatever. So let's go Nikita. The young Russian takes out Barzola here.
But Visceral's also correct. He looks like Dan Hooker's little brother.
That is fair. Russian Dan Hooker.
Hooker.
But we're on to the main event of the first of the two fights cards that we are breaking down here. In Juliana Velasquez taking on America's sweetheart, former UFC first title challenger, and Liz Carmouche here, who's been on kind of a quiet little roll here, man. It's been like, I didn't realize until I kind of looked back, but 38-year-old gorilla here. She definitely deserves this title shot against the 35-year-old Juliana Velasquez. That adds up to a combined age of 73 years in this main event. So, this one might be going to distance. That's all I'll say. 5'6", 66-inch reach for the gorilla. 3-fight win streak, 16-7 overall, fighting out of San Diego, California at Combat Academy. Absolutely starched Kana Watanabe in that fight. Just shocked her, shocked everybody. And that was just not something I've seen out of Liz. I picked Kana Watanabe going into that fight.
Your face.
Yeah, seriously. Before that, beat the veteran Vanessa Porto, just kind of dismantled her. Deanna Bennett put her away in the third round after really working her down. And Deanna Bennett went on to have some very solid performances after that. So by no means is that a weak win either. Liz Carmouche, she, for the most part, seems to really have improved her stand-up, able to kind of translate that strength and get some power in her strikes. She has a loss to Valentina Shevchenko. That was her last loss, and that was only a little over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So I don't think – and she went to a decision, by the way, in that fight. I don't think that fight made her worse.
She lost every round, though. You might have to.
But still, to lose every round and not be put away in any of the rounds is still something.
And a
yeah. I mean, Jessica Andrade can't say that. We'll talk about that tomorrow in her fight with Valentina Shevchenko, which I was there live for. And I was counting the takedowns by Shevchenko in that first round. There were 8, which was a UFC record. But Liz Carmouche, she's still doing the damn thing. She's got that old woman strength at this point. I think that she can make this fight really, really dirty. It's going to be this is going to be a really close fight. Like straight up. Like this is just they mirror each other in a lot of ways. Juliana Velasquez, a little bit better of a jiu-jitsu practitioner, Muay Thai, a little bit better, but still, like these girls are both very decent on the feet, on the floor. They're better. They both aren't afraid of going into decision. Juliana Velasquez, 12-0, 13-0, going back to her amateur career, Team Nogueira. Very impressive against McFarlane. Denise Kielholtz fight. I picked Denise Kielholtz, and I thought Denise Kielholtz won that fight 3-2. I really think that in this fight, I think that Liz can give Velasquez some problems on the feet, especially with her power. And overall, I think the grappling is going to be close. So I'm going to be honest. I've not been super impressed by Velasquez for a while here. Her fight with Alejandro Lara, I thought Lara won that fight. And, Rebecca Ruth, okay, whatever. I mean, Bruna Ellen, not a fighter I really rate too highly. Christina Williams, she put her away. But still, I just think that Velasquez has been dual loss for a little while. I don't think she's really faced a level to Carmouche other than McFarland. Denise Kielholtz is a very good kickboxer and overall kind of exploited the stand-up of Velasquez. I think that Carmouche can do similar in different ways, but Carmouche keeps us on the feet, mixes in maybe a takedown or two of her own at times, and Velasquez with the jiu-jitsu is going to be willing to kind of mess around down there. And I like Carmouche in this spot. I really do. I like the momentum. We didn't see a ton of her in the last fight, but it's Dylan. It's Bellator. You gotta beat somebody to get there. And Kana Watanabe is not a soft win at all. Kana Watanabe is a very good win. So yeah, you can say what you want about those others, but still, I mean, Vanessa Porto, not a bad fighter at all. And I just think that I don't rate Velasquez that highly, even though she is 12-0. I think it's a little bit of a misleading soft 12-0. Laura, I think she edged, but yeah, Brunella. Oh, she's saying Dylan, you're saying Velasquez. I thought you were saying Carmouche had a soft run to the title shot. Yeah, and that's part. So yeah, I'm going to go with Carmouche here. I think could be a very close fight. I think it goes all 5 rounds. And I mean, Carmouche is the underdog here, which I'm surprised about.
That's
so mental. Give me Carmouche at dog money.
When I saw this fight, I immediately picked Liz. There is not a doubt in my mind. Liz Carmouche is a beast. She puts on a pressure and she's so physically strong. I know Juliana's a great judoka, but Liz is happy to go in that realm. She's a heavy base, Sarah McMahon kind of style of sitting on you. She's got great jiu-jitsu. She nearly choked out Ronda Rousey. Remember that?
Yep, at 135.
At 135, that was another time, obviously, but she's just fought the top of the top all the time for years now. And again, yeah, she has fought Valentina. Valentina could beat 3 Juliana Velasquez's at her at one time. So Liz Carmouche, to me, I could even see a late finish to be honest for her. I don't know if Juliana can take a punch as well as Liz. Liz has heavy hands. I really like Liz. I don't see how Liz loses this fight, to be honest with you. Unless she gets caught in something on the ground and gets a bit reckless, which she never is. She's never reckless. She's very strategic. She's a great game plan. Her coaches are perfect with her.
She looks like she's in great shape as well.
She's a young 36-year-old, isn't she? In that way. I think she's brilliant. I really rate
I'll be right back. I just got to let it drop off a dog. So just kind of give your overall thoughts on the 278 card, and then we'll start 279 in 1 second.
Yeah, so again, I think you're a bit mad if Dylan, you're absolutely right. It's great if Liz is an underdog, guys. That is mental. Bruno Ellen to a title shot. Yeah, could you imagine that in the UFC? People would be mental. But over 278, Liz Carmouche definitely. If she's an underdog, I'd be shocked if she's an underdog on the night. MMA fans know how good Liz Carmouche is. If you're buying into Juliana, she might be brilliant. But the level of competition she's actually fighting at that point is quite limited. Not her fault, but just the pool of opponents isn't, the roster isn't that large. It's the same with Chris Cyborg. Chris Cyborg's record is phenomenal, but the pool of fighters, if you actually look at each individual, it's not incredible. So Barzola and Liz Carmouche, I know Aaron's not 100% on Barzola, and I know a few of you aren't, but I'm 100%. I'm backing Barzola on Carmouche all the way here, and Sabatello. I've got Grant Neal, got Nate Andrews. Tafik isn't on anymore, but Eric Perez. I've got Weber Almeida if he makes weight, and Dante Schiro. I think that's and Blake Perry to cause an upset. I'm not too keen on that one. I wouldn't bet on that one. Don't agree with me on Blake Perry. That's just me being funny. But
Carmouche, Sabatello, Perez parlay pays very nicely for quality of fighter you're getting there. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't add Barzolo. Stop, you guys. Don't add Barzolo, the Russian, on short notice. There's no such. I'm officially saying it now. There's no such thing as short notice Russians. They don't stop training. Like, it's just like, okay, I fight today in Hawaii. That's fine. Like, so Nikita, let's go.
I need
all
that
day.
Russian impression recorded.
No more. That was the one time. It's recorded. So don't worry, everything's recorded on here. I find out that each week when I get something wrong. But that is the end of the 278 card. But as you know, we've got another card here, 279, headlined by Arlene Blencowe and Cyborg 2. The rematch we were all waiting for. I know you guys are going to be curious who we're going with on that one. We're not going to let you know yet. This is not the Enrique show. It is the Nikita Mikhailov show. No such thing as short notice Russians. Not talking about Saparov. Everybody else, though. But we're starting this one down at 125. First of all, there is the one cancellation, obviously, the Perez fight, unfortunately. Of Stout. Hopefully Pettis can recover from that ACL surgery well. But we're starting at the flyweight division here with a fight between Sumiko, Inaba, and Whitney Pyles. Whitney Pyles is getting some shout-outs I saw in the chat earlier. She is a staunch 3-4 fighting out of Christiansburg, Virginia here. I saw her last fight. It was with LFA. Whitney Pyles, not sure what you're doing here other than being brought in. But we'll see. She is coming off 2 straight wins, so there is that. She's fighting out of Virginia.
Look at the comment. Sorry, look at the comment straight away. I just looked down. It says she's going to get killed.
She's going to get killed. Was in a war last month on Facebook. Watch it. She's going to get murdered bad. Yeah, it was an absolute war. She beat Lisa Malden, though. Not a bad fighter, but a little bit older of a fighter there. It was definitely a war on the LFA Diaz Assis prelim card, which is on Facebook. Megan Cowley, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player, 1 and 2 at the time, knocked her out. Megan is a friend, so I'm not going to say anything about that fight. But, yeah, pretty disappointed in that one for sure. But shout out to Megan. She's doing good with her jiu-jitsu career now, so that's good. Lady Samurai Sumiko Inaba she's been brought in a sacrifice here, straight up. 3-0, 8 straight wins, going back to her amateur career, arm triangle choke of Randy Field, who we'll be talking about in a minute. Looked really good there. Otherwise, just clean knockouts in her other 2 fights. Hasn't been super tested in this one, and seems to be being brought forward slowly. Tough enough champion as well. Knockouts there mostly. I think that she's able to put away Whitney. Whitney coming into this fight, she's going to be pretty compromised, as was pointed out in the comments here. She is a little bit older though, so there is that. But she looks to have the goods. I like Sumiko here, obviously. KO.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet against Sumiko here. I think it'd just be foolish. I think, Whitney fighting a month ago is in a war does not help anything. The sacrificial lamb is more than accurate here. I think Sumiko beats it everywhere, to be honest, puts on a pace. I could see another finish pretty quickly, to be honest.
Yeah.
Bellator obviously like Sumiko as well. She's, as you like to say, extremely marketable.
She is very marketable. Pyle was a dog in that fight. I've got to say prelims have done horribly. Please put that. I agree. Or just put it on Fight Pass, since the rest of every other organization puts their whole card on Fight Pass. I don't know why LFA wouldn't. It's going to be a violent death, according to Kelly. -600 on Sumiko. Go ahead and throw her in some parlays. She's not losing this one. Manny, you would like Sumiko. Manny likes the marketable fighters.
We know why you like Sumiko.
Yeah, we all know why you like Sumiko, Manny. But the next fight, we don't got marketable fighters in here because this fight is a weird ass fight at lightweight here between Jordan. I'm gonna Winski, which is one of the worst nicknames in all of MMA. Absolutely cringe. Taking on Ryan Dela Cruz. Ryan Dela Cruz, I watched his last fight, and let me tell you, woof. Wolfman. He's not. I don't know what he's doing here. 12-8 overall. He is fighting out of Hawaii, 37 and a half years old, out of 808 Fight Factory. Taking on the Mets Combat Club representative and Jordan. I'm gonna Winski. Get it? I'm gonna win ski. Like, it's his name. It's funny. It's funny. He did not win ski in his last fight, though. He actually lost ski. And that was in July. And that fight was against our boy Brian Moore. He cashed there. We both had Brian Moore. It was a pick'em fight, and it was at bantamweight. That was in July. He's now fighting in April the next year. Not one class higher, 2 weight classes higher. Don't really know what to think about that. Jordan Winski, he does have a win over Mike Hamill with LFA that has aged very, very well. Got an armbar in there after cracking him. So does have some sneaky power, has a win over Terrian Ware. He's faced a decent level of competition. Brian Moore did kind of just pressure him and just, overwhelm him in that fight. And Romanov is fighting Chase Sherman. Oh, my God, shoot me. Oh, my God, shoot me.
Okay, bet the house on Romanov.
Yeah, I don't care what price it is. Bet everything you got on Alexander Romanov.
I don't need to do another video. I don't need to do a video on that.
No, Chase Sherman. My God, that has to be a joke. Harry Hunsucker deserved that fight. But Ryan Dela Cruz here, 12-8, lost that last fight to Matt Bissett. Didn't just lose it. Matt Bissett beat him pillar to fucking post in that fight until he got an arm bar that he turned into like a side triangle, and Ryan Dela Cruz is just like, I'm out of here. Like, fuck that. That was at 145. Ryan Dela Cruz looks soft. He's now taking this at 155 on short notice. That fight was in September of last year. This is not a Russian in Ryan Dela Cruz. That's all I'll say. When his last 2 wins were over a 13-22 opponent in Sergio Quinones and a 1-3 opponent in Daniel Friend. That is the level of Ryan Dela Cruz. Jordan is going to win.
Lost to a guy of 12-21.
Yeah, he got revenge on Sergio Quinones. So maybe he can set up a trilogy with Sergio Quinones. I don't know. Unfortunately, as much as I want to pick against Jordan, I'm going to Winski. He is going to Winski here, and probably, I don't know. I just don't know. It's going to be at 155. Neither guy fights at 155. This is weird. I'll go with Winski decision.
Yeah, I can see Jordan Winski winning by decision. I hate his last name. It is just awful. And that you shouldn't be talking about his name more than his record or his skill set. But unfortunately, you are. I don't know how he's going to look at this weight class. It'd be interesting to see that. But again, he's nothing impressive, to be honest. He's got a decent record. Dela Cruz, I don't want to use the word he sucks.
Bad.
But he's very bad.
He's bad at fighting.
He's bad at fighting, and when you're involved in, I don't think the Hawaiians are going to be doing particularly well in Hawaii.
No, they did not edge like the Hawaiians really. Besides Sumiko.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Winski is going to Winski.
Yeah,
I hope he loses.
Yeah, it's tough here because he even like in the price is shocking too, -350. I think it should be wider than that because I do think Winski is significantly better than Dela Cruz in this fight. So yeah, I mean, I'd even say you can parlay it if you want, but man, I just think about having a ticket cost by Jordan Winski and I get a little bit upset. So maybe I don't know, but we're both going with he's going to Winski and Jordan. Next fight here is I think this is the weirder card of the 2 cards, or maybe it's just we continue to break down fights.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a weird fight. The number 6 ranked 6-5 Janay Harding. Let me say that again. The number 6 ranked 6-5 Janay Harding. She is the 6th ranked fighter in the 145 division at 6-5. Taking on, I believe, the number 10 ranked fighter in 9-7, Diana Silva. Diana Silva, 5'7", 68.5-inch reach here. Taking on the Tiger Muay Thai product in Janay Harding, Hollow Point. Diana Silva, just, she fights. I don't know. she fights very ugly in her fights. It's a lot of pressure, sloppy strikes, and it hasn't been too effective. She's on Nuevo Union. She's faced Julia Budd, and she had a really close split decision there. Julia Budd, I don't know what the hell she was doing in that fight. It was just really, really just an ugly fight. But Diana, showed up in that one. The Arlene Blencowe fight, not as impressive at all, and Blencowe ended up putting it away with her angry fist in the third round. Yeah, I mean, Diana Silva, she's going to go in there, look to pressure, look to grit this against the cage. I mean, her last 3 losses before the loss to Blencowe were all split decisions. Gisela Mariana Marias, who we were familiar with, and Janay Harding, if she isn't free to strike, she's going to struggle. I mean, she got set up into that triangle choke thing against Leah McCourt, which was just, I mean, she was winning that fight, though, until then. And I will give her credit for that. And looking pretty good in that fight. It just seems she had a brain fart there in the second round to get that triangle sunk in. But, I mean, the ground and gritty types of fighters can win. But honestly, I just think that Diana isn't going to be able to keep a hold of Janay Harding. She's had to have been training what Diana Silva is going to do here. Diana Silva is not high level in any realm of MMA. And I just think that the Julia Budd that showed up against Diana Silva that night was ripe to be beat, and Diana still only got a split decision there. We're going to be sweating it a little bit, but I just think Janay has a good fluid movement, good striking, and she knows what she's got to avoid here. Minus, and it's a closely lined fight. I think a lot of bettors are afraid that Diana's going to, but I like Janay Harding in the spot. I think that the win over Marina Makatina has aged well, even if I can't say it right. The Sinead Kavanaugh fight, we saw how good Kavanaugh looked in her last fight. Jessie Millet tried to make it a really gritty fight there, and she's not a bad fighter at all. I don't think Diana is just that special. Yeah, and it's just, I mean, she's going to try to clinch her up. I think Janae's going to get loose from it and be able to win at least 2 or 3 rounds, which is what you got to do to win a fight. I got Janay Harding in this one. Could be close, but I think Janay is able to cruise.
Yeah, when you said Diana's not anything special, neither is Janay to me. They're both not special. They're both they don't know how to implement their game plan perfectly. They always worry about the opposition too much instead of just doing what they do best. If Janay does what she does best, she should piece Silva up.
Right.
If Silva does what she does best, she's going to make it grueling. She's going to grab her against the fence. She's going to elbow her hard. She's going to trip her to the floor. She's going to stand her back up. She's going to just absolutely ragdoll her around to the point where she's exhausted and makes a dirty, horrible fight. I have a horrible feeling it's going to be a decision for Diana. A horrible feeling. And I don't want that to happen.
I think,
but I'm going to go with that route. I think it's going to be a horrible, nasty steak fight, which I'm going to watch.
All right, man.
I think Diana Silva's going to go decision. Yeah,
I think Janae's a little bit better than Diana.
I agree. I just think she panics when she gets closed. When that distance gets shut off, I don't think she has an escape. And not saying Silva's excellent either. I just think I think she might have a stylistic clash here where it might do better for Silva. But
I mean, it's closely aligned for reason. Minus 145, plus 115. Moy's audio saying Pretty Woman wins. So, I don't know your taste.
Well, that's subjective, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Diana's for someone out there. But gonna move on to the next fight. This is a catchweight fight at 120. I think this might be one of the first 120 catchweight fights I've ever broken down here. And you want to talk about marketable fighters, Randy Field is certainly in that category. And there's a reason that she's fighting ahead of the fighter she beat.
You should parlay Diana with Barzola and Blake Perry. I'm doing it.
I mean, just get paid. Yeah, you'll get paid there. Put $1 on it. And
if that happens, Kelly, you're in for a treat, sir.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that is money in the bank there. But yeah, Randy Field, Rose City Phoenix here, 2-1 for the 31, nearly 32-year-old. Out of Maximum Training Center, taking on Millennium Millennia MMA's Mariah Miller 1-1 here. I mean, who knows with this fight? Randy Field got a lot more fans after her last fight, and I don't think it was for how she fought. That's all I'll say there. This is an atomweight fighter in Mariah Miller, who's moving up to 120 for this fight. Randy Field's going to have a huge size advantage. I'm not sure why Mariah would agree to that. 2 fights with Combate Global, couldn't find them. Lost by rear naked choke in the second fight as an amateur, went 3-2, got knocked out in one fight, had a knockout and 2 arm bars in the other. Rena Norville, I'm familiar with as well, went to a decision with her, not a terrible loss at all. Randy Field last fought against Sumiko and Inaba, battle of the marketability. Lost, got arm triangled by Inaba, who's known for her striking. Before that, 2 wins over a 3-5 and an 0-3, both in 2019. A lot of split decisions and losses on her record. I mean, I think Randy's just going to be bigger, so she should be able to win. But I don't really rate either girl very highly here. I've got to imagine they want Randy to get a win for some reason, and I'll let everybody make those decisions for themselves. I'll take Randy just by way of being much larger than her atomweight opponent.
Yeah, I think that's a major advantage, being physically stronger.
Hey, come here. Sorry.
I'm the same with mine.
Definitely should have been muted for that.
Being physically stronger and more brutish, marching her down, heavier shots, sits on her strikes. She should be able to just dictate every step of the way against Miller, but it's low level women's MMA here, so it is tough to call on these. I don't like betting on these sort of fights. This might be,
Randy Field minus 240, by the way.
I might have to go with Kelly Garvey and add this to a parlay. So
yeah, Randy Field at minus 240 is way too crazy of a price there. Plus 190 on Mariah Miller. I mean,
yeah, I think Randy Field has enough to do this, to be honest. She's got experience, whether it's wins or losses, is experience, and I rate that quite highly. Yeah,
and I mean, it's a weird fight, weird order to the fights. I'm not sure why this is on there other than marketability factors. So
this should have opened the card as well.
Yep, I agree. But we'll move on to a fight worth talking about. This is a really good fight at 155 pounds here. Between Bobby King, not King Green, Bobby King. Makes it very, very hard to find Bobby King footage on YouTube or elsewhere. Every time you put in Bobby King, they're like, you mean Bobby King Green MMA, right? It's like, no, I want to see Bobby King fights. Luckily, being in Bellator now has made things a little easier going against Kiani Diggs here, 9-1 fighter. Fighting out of Arizona, but now fighting at the 808 Fight Factory, taking on Bobby King, who's fighting on Koa Kingdom. Bobby King's he's really impressed me. 38 years old, is in very, very good shape. Seems to have a good condition and good, definitely good. Just overall solid game. Comes in very, very physical.
Look at that.
Yeah, good photographer. Right, that's always good. Look at a cool picture on Tapology.
Where's the
and last fought in February for Bobby. Got the win there and busted a really, really highly touted prospect there in the Israeli who he just kind of manhandled the kid in that fight. Had showed a lot of strength, was landing spectacular strikes, and Aviv quit on the stool in between rounds there. And that was in February. It was a really good performance after, a tough performance against Alexander Shabli, the Russian. No shame there at all in that fight. He had an alleged split decision with Nick Newell that I didn't think was a split. Beat Steven Seiler on the amateur or on the regional scene, which, is a good enough win. Weston Wilson, he's faced a decent level of opponent. And he's beating these guys. Overall, I just really like all of Bobby Green's kind of game here. I really think that he's He's a very, very good, just overall defensive grappler, especially his striking's good. Keeps the fight where he wants, and his gas tank for 38 and being so muscular is just shockingly good. And I think it could be a spot where he could potentially have an advantage over Kiani Diggs here. 9-1 for Kiani, 35 years old. So both these guys older, another combined 73 years old. Last lost to Daniel Weichel in June of last year. Daniel Weichel, a lot of experience there. It was a split decision. It was a very close fight. Prior to that, wins over Derek Campos and Scotty Howe by rear naked choke, 2-1 with Bellator. Other than that, hasn't faced a huge level of competition here. I think this is going to be another very, very close fight. I could see this being a potential fight of the night. I've really been impressed with Bobby King. Honestly, I think even the Nick Newell fight, like, he looked really good. I don't know how that was a split other than people wanting Nick Newell to win. That Aviv's fight, the last Aviv's fight was just something really special. And I mean, we're saying Diggs has a huge grappling upside. I mean, Bobby really showed no regard for that grappling against Aviv, who I would rate as a higher level grappler than Diggs. Now, there's a lot of questions there, but I don't know, man. I think I'm going to keep the train rolling on Bobby King. I think that he looked good against Alexander Shabliy, who's a very good Russian prospect, very experienced. And Diggs has been out for a year. I don't love how Diggs looks in the second half of the fights. Often he does slow down a little bit. And this fight is at 155, by the way. So I think, which serves to both guys' advantages. But I like Bobby King here, man. He's fighting motivated. He's getting back in there. Gonzalez wrestling is in the same level as Diggs. Gonzalez is okay. All of a sudden, Gonzalez shit. Everybody knows that, I guess. It's just funny how quick fighters become shit. I would not say Gonzalez is shit. But yeah, I do agree that Diggs has better grappling. But I mean, so far, King has shown against some good grapplers, so that he does have the chops there. I think it's going to be close. I really do. But I'm going to edge towards King and give me the decision. It's close. Really good fight.
I've been back and forth on this one, though. I'm with you. I think it is going to be close, but I'm going the other way. I do think Diggs is going to get his neck. I think Diggs is going to take the back and get his neck and sink in another choke. I think I don't think King has faced an MMA grappler as good as Diggs. I think the way he mixes it up, he goes low, gets the trips, does manage to get the back. He's a back hunter more than anything. It's not just an MMA grappler. He does search for one particular thing, which is very dangerous. It allows someone to train for that particular thing, but when they're focused on it, pretty much all the time happens anyway. I think the pace Keone does have as well is a bit faster than Bobby, but Bobby is physically bigger, physically faster. He's got a lot more power. I think Diggs is just going to look for one path to victory. He's just going to try get that back of Bobby and put him out, and I think he'll do it. I really do. I'm going to say he gets a submission win over Bobby King, even though I do like Bobby King. Also.
Yeah. If Diggs fights like Campos fight, he wins easily. Shabliy had his way. Yep, fair enough. It looks like I'm on my King Island at plus 175, minus 215 on Kiani Diggs here.
I'm surprised it's that high, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Diggs, people were very high on Diggs until that last fight, and it was a split decision at the end of the day. So, these guys are at a similar age, so I do think that of the two, Diggs has shown to slow down a little more for me than King as the fight goes on. So I think it could be a realm where the 38-year-old can look like the younger guy against the 35-year-old. We saw this with Madsen a few weeks ago in a similar kind of spot. So who knows? But I think it's going to be a good fight. I'll take a shot at the dog and Bobby King there. Moving on to the next fight here. This fight is kind of another weird one. Like I said, this is the weird night of fights compared to the first night, which is a little more of a standard like Bellator fight card. This one is between Yancy Medeiros and Emmanuel Sanchez. It feels like a mad lib of like MMA fighters, which is like eventually Yancy Medeiros and Emmanuel Sanchez will fight, I guess. I mean, that makes sense. This is at 155 here. Manuel El Matador Sanchez, I'll be breaking down first here, 31 years old, Rufus Sport Rep, 20-7, 3 straight losses he's been on. He's seen better days for sure. And at 145 was put away by Patricio Pitbull, Mads Bernal, and then I had a close decision loss to Jeremy Kennedy. That's 3 really, really good high-level opponents. Straight up, about as tough of a 3 run as you can get in Bellator. Went to decision with those 2. Patricio Pitbull, obviously, he had a much tougher second fight than the first fight. I had the win over Daniel Weichel. Good decision win there. Taiwan Claxton kind of exposed him as an overrated prospect. Georgie Karakian. So very, facing high-level opponents throughout here. Emmanuel Sanchez is, and just kind of started to become a little more hittable. The El Matador is kind of having trouble being that lately. But Yancy Medeiros here, 15-8, 4 straight losses for him. Hasn't fought since June, where he was cut by the UFC. His 4 straight losses came to Donald Cerrone back in 2018. Got knocked out by Gregor Gillespie, and then decision by Venata and Hadzovic. Hadzovic was lighting him up quite a bit in that fight as well. I just think that Yancy, I don't rate really very highly. I haven't for a long time, and I don't continue to. I do think this is a significant step down for Sanchez compared to his last 3 level of opponents. I think Sanchez should be able to use his movement, get in and out, use his speed, and just I think he takes the decision over Yancy Medeiros. Medeiros just gets hit too much for me. So give me Emmanuel Sanchez in this spot.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think he's better everywhere, Emmanuel Sanchez. I think his losses in MMA have come to such high level of competition, other than probably Pat Curran, who is it? It's Weichel. You've got 2 against Pitbull, Burnell, and Kennedy. That ain't bad. A
rogue strummer.
He's absolutely right, though. Medeiros doesn't only lose as well. He always gets finished. That's typically it. He's been knocked out a lot. He's been choked out a lot. He has almost not a give up. I don't like ever to say a professional gives up, but he has that tendency to go.
He's been in a lot of wars.
I've been defeated. I'm just out. And he's been in a lot of wars. And when you get finished constantly, it's a little worrying. I think his record in the UFC was 6 wins and 8 losses or something like that eventually. And all the losses came, it was like win, loss, and then eventually just added up the losses. I think Emmanuel is better everywhere. I mean, the 3 losses to him, I just feel bad because he's better than the 3 losses suggested his last 5 fights. He's faster, he's stronger, he's better at grappling. I think Yancey's only thing he has for him is he's got like Michael Johnson's speed of hands and he's very quick, but he leaves his chin exposed. He doesn't know how to get out of range properly anymore. And he just lost the step, I think. And I think Sanchez takes it easily.
Kelly Garvey with the unnecessary jab at Cameron Ellis. Let's save that for tomorrow. We'll talk about Cameron Ellis tomorrow.
You need to get him on this. He's got some good points, mate.
Kelly's a G. Sanchez, minus 300 favorite. I'm not crazy about that. Plus 240.
I'm not surprised though
on Medeiros. But I will take Sanchez here. I'm not going to overthink it, but I wish it would have been a tiny bit closer for me. But that's a Sanchez from us dog. And he is not the dog, unfortunately. The one thing for Medeiros, he will have a size advantage here. And if he uses that or not will be another story. So
it's nice style, is it?
Yeah. So we're on to the next fight here. This is at welterweight here, with a guy who I'm just having a hard time figuring out lately, and Goichi Yamauchi, taking the Brazilian Japanese fighter, why is Goichi getting a step down? ? Taking on Levan Chokili here. Levan also kind of having a hard time figuring out this guy. Overall, a little bit confused on this fight. This fight's kind of a strange one. Out of Georgia, 10-1, 25 years old for, as I said, the Georgian product here, 6 foot tall, 73-inch reach. Coming into this fight off of a win in December. Levan overall just pretty, decent to solid grappler. He looks to get in there and definitely try to wrestle. He came in against Kyle Crutchmer and couldn't make that happen. And Crutchmer just kind of, just dominated that decision. On the regional scene, I wasn't exactly impressed with the level from Levon, who's striking and not a grappler. I apologize. But yeah, just the Vinicius de Jesus fight wasn't too blown away in that fight by either fighter. And, with Chokili so far, it's just hard to kind of see. I haven't seen a lot of kind of the promise from the amateur or from the regional scene transfer so far to Bellator. So it's hard to kind of predict what I'm expecting out of him here, because I feel he's been fighting a little bit tentative so far in his 2 fights with Bellator. And now coming into a fight with Gotti, I think it's a similar fight where he's going to have trouble getting his game plan started, because his game plan is to strike and be kind of free with the movements. And he's going to have to deal with a lot of defensive grappling, Gotti Yamauchi. I think Gotti is going to look to implement the game plan that's been used against him in a couple of his recent losses, and implement on him similar to what Moret did to him. I think he's going to kind of just look to outgrind and outgrapple his opponent here. Yamauchi, 29 years old, 26-5, coming off the win against Chris Gonzalez, where the stand-up looked a lot better. So, and he put away Chris Gonzalez in that fight. Before that, Dan Moret just outgritted him. But yeah, very good grappler, submissions of a wad. And Cruikshank before then, high-level jiu-jitsu, and moving up to 170, I think, is going to definitely help out Gochi as well. I think those were big cuts down to 155, so it will be interesting to see here. I think he's got a good first opponent to make at 170, and I think it will improve the cardio. And I like Gochi in this spot to get the finish by submission.
I like it. I like that a lot. I'm trying not to overthink this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Chikeli there's what I've seen of him. He hasn't really impressed me with how he pressurizes fighters. He's got a lot of prospect, but I'm not convinced just yet. I think he needs to face some people of a high level. This is a very hard test to get Gotti like this. I'm trying not to overthink it. Gotti is good everywhere. His striking has improved drastically. It's not as bad as I used to think it was. I think I hammered him last time we talked about him on the show about his striking, but it isn't as bad as I made it out. His grappling is his bread and butter. I think he's just going to pin him to the floor and submit him. I don't think it's anything more than that.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping as well here. And yeah, it's a pretty. Is
Chikeli going to be a massive size difference? I know he's a natural 170er, but is there a massive size difference really?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think there is particularly. And then Janelle Lugo being brought up, as long as he can keep it on the feet. I mean, that's what everybody's going to say about Janelle Lugo, or about anybody against Danny Sabatello. As long as you can keep it on the feet against Danny Sabatello, you have a chance, correct? But kind of hard to do. Levon Chokili, a plus 150 here, minus 180 on Gochi Yamauchi. Definitely, I think a good spot here for Gochi. I like the price quite a bit. And 29 getting better, as Dylan pointed out here. Yeah, Gochi's got a lot of upside here. And so is Chokili. Chokili, only 25 years old, Georgian fighter. We know that they can strike there. So should be a good one here. The prelims are really starting to get, boosted off here after that fight as well. Next fight here at 145 pounds. This should be a very good fight as well, between Kai Kamaka III and Justin Gonzalez. Very good fight here at 145 between these two former prospects. I'd say still considered prospects here.
Justin's definitely a prospect.
Yeah, Kai Kamaka not so much anymore. This J-Train Gonzalez coming off that loss, coming off his first loss of his career, 12-1 now, is Justin. I mean, he it was obviously a very tough fight. I've often compared Justin Gonzalez in a lot of ways for how he fights to Justin Gaethje. That's who he reminds me of a lot, frankly. And with how he pushes the pace, he throws everything, and he does throw with reckless abandonment. I thought he was going to really give Pico a good fight in that fight. Aaron Pico is just fighting at a different level right now. He's, I think, one of the best fighters. He's starting to look like one of the best featherweights in the world. And just overall, like, really looking well when he's using that wrestling. Justin just had trouble in that. Before that, though, LFA champion, beating Jake Childs to win that title. Put away, had a close fight with Taiwan Claxton. They said it was a split. I did not. I had it for Justin Gonzalez all the way. But yeah, just keeps a good pace, throws, good leg kicks, good combinations, will pressure with the takedowns at times. So far in Bellator, he's looked okay. But I just think that his style and his pressure and his striking are things that are terrible for a guy like Kai Kamaka. Kai Kamaka just kind of freezes up at times. He can be pressured. I think as the fight gets a little more gritty, he does have struggles, but he is fighting out of Hawaii here, 9-4-1, coming off that win at Bellator 272 to a 14-9 John DeJesus. John DeJesus is not all that great. He's very crafty and tricky. He's a lengthy striker, but doesn't push the pace, allows him to get backed up to the cage quite often. The win over Tony Kelly was a decent win, but Tony Kelly, it was a very close fight, honestly. Jonathan Pierce, not a good look, and the TJ Brown fight was horrendous, as was the Danny Chavez fight. He slows down as these fights go, and I don't think that Kai Kamaka matches up very well with Justin Gonzalez in the spot. I think Justin Gonzalez can exploit a lot of the holes in Kai Kamaka's game. I like Justin Gonzalez to stretch this out and make this a decision, gritty and high-paced fight. So I like Justin Gonzalez in this spot by decision. Quite a bit, too.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yes.
I've been trying to find ways. I think I've written about 4 pages on Kai Kamaka in the last week, trying to find ways of how he could beat someone like Justin. And he definitely can. He can use his distance management. He can use his first round speed. But he falls after 6-7 minutes. His work rate just dramatically drops. Shakes his arms off.
Justin does not drop ever. He picks it up, including against Pico in that last fight.
And that's just levels, him versus Pico. Like, he didn't look awful. He was just outworked, outskilled every department. But Kai Kamaka is his skill level to me. I just think he works harder than Kai. I think he has more tools than Kai. I think Kai is an excellent counterpuncher. I don't think Justin's even going to entertain the realm of striking with Kai Kamaka, especially in that first round. I think he's going to be humping that leg. And if defending these takedowns is going to be very, very difficult for Kai, and it's going to exert all more energy, and he already exerts all the energy when he just has his striking game going. I do agree he shouldn't have been released from the UFC. The TJ Brown fight is a disgrace. That decision making. But I like Justin Gonzalez here. I don't think he's going to finish Kai. Kai's tough as hell, but he does gas. Doesn't quit, but I do think he hasn't got enough defensive tools here to beat someone like Justin. But if he is going to win, it'll be a first round counterpunch, to be honest.
That would be very impressive. I would be quite surprised, since Gonzalez kind of did survive with Pico in those spots. But -110 slight underdog for Justin Gonzalez, -120 on Kai Kamaka. They're expecting this to be a close one. I got the slight dog. We both have the slight dog in Justin Gonzalez. I'm a little more confident in it, I will say. Justin Gonzalez.
I wonder if there'll be anything with the fans, being in Hawaii. I wonder if that will play a massive part for him.
Yeah, we'll see. The Hawaiians are welcoming people. I'm sure they're going to be nice to both fighters.
They won't be as rude as the British.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a British crowd here. We're on to the featured prelim here, and this is a beauty of a featured prelim, in my opinion. Really, really like this guy in Lance Gibson Jr. Taking on Nainoa Dung here, who I like both guys. I like Nainoa Dung, even though he's had some points in his Bellator career where he's really lived up to his last name, kind of fighting like it. He's, the babyface assassin here, taking on Lance Gibson Jr., Lance Gibson Jr. out of Gibson MMA, Nainoa Dung out of Sanford MMA. Great camp for a young fighter and the 23-year-old, originally out of Makoa, Hawaii. 6'1", 73-inch reach, pretty much the same reach as his opponent Lance Gibson, even though Lance is a couple inches shorter. Nainoa Dung, definitely known for his stand-up, coming off of a win in April of last year, so he's been off for over a year now. Which I don't mind, especially early in careers. The losses coming to Zach Zane, who just pushed the pace with the grappling, and then Charlie Campbell, who pushed the pace with the leg kicks. So, and I know Dung, when the going gets tough, he seems to kind of fold a little bit, whether it's kind of just giving into the kind of the decision with Zach Zane when Zach Zane started to really work for those takedowns, or not checking leg kicks against Charlie Campbell. And, Charlie Campbell is a very good fighter. It's not a terrible loss, but it was how he lost that was concerning for me, for sure. Dung came in with a ton of promise to his career. Only one finish, though. He is a good technical striker. When the fight starts to get into the wrestling range, he does struggle. Coming off a win against Izzy Williams in April of last year, he looked okay there. Izzy Williams, I don't think is that great of a fighter. And was pretty undersized in that spot. Lance Gibson will not be undersized. Lance Gibson will look to wrestle and grapple. And Lance Gibson, I think, gets the finish by submission. I really think that he's looking good. Some concerns about his corner as he advances in his career. I've not seen a lot of technical kind of advice, but his father was a fighter, and Lance Gibson as well. Julia Budd usually in the corner as well. So two former fighters. Put away Raymond Pena, who was a larger opponent in his last fight. Couple wins over some veterans in his last few. Marcus Surin is a tricky fight and really passed it with flying colors. I think that he grapples and submits Nainoa Dung inside of 2 rounds.
Couldn't agree more.
Terrible matchup for Dung.
Yeah, I was about to say that. They're obviously pushing Lance massively here. He is a very bright prospect here. He's got so many tools that could beat Dung up here, and I don't see how Dung's gonna be able to face this from what I've seen so far of him. There's not much to add on what you said, unfortunately. What we've seen of them so far is, one thing I will say on Lance is he's looking better and better every time you see him with the striking, but he's just gonna grapple. He's gonna grapple because he will get that W.
Yeah, exactly. And Dung kind of needs to compile the strikes he's not kind of a one strike kind of finisher either. So it's not like,
volume. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I like Lance quite a bit. The odds are absurd though. These are crazy, but
is it over 1,000?
They're close, minus 900, plus 550 on Nainoa here. I can't advise anybody take Nainoa though, but if you sprinkle that, I'm not going to hate you. That's all I'll say. I don't think Nainoa Dung is that bad. I do not think he's that bad.
Could it be a Ben Parrish upset, or is it not even that for you?
I think Ben Parrish is more shocking than if Dung gets the upset here, to be honest. I think those odds are just a little crazy high. If I didn't like so much the matchup with Gibson, I would consider sprinkling Dung, but I can't do it, obviously. Just because, Gibson is willing to mix it up on the feet. He's been becoming more and more willing on the feet. And if he gets into a Muay Thai bout here, it's not a good idea, especially for a minus 900. So, I don't think he will. Yeah, I don't either. I'm just saying that price is pretty crazy. But
that's Bellator pricing for you.
Yep, Bellator pricing. So that is the featured prelim. We're on to the 4-card main card here. And we're starting with Justine Quiche on the main card. Did they just put these bouts into like a Yahtzee dice and we're like, here's the order? This is just, I get it. McFarlane's a star here. So, it is what it is, but still, a little bit crazy of a way to open it here. McFarlane versus Kitch, the fight we've all been not waiting for. But
would this have been on the prelim for you then?
Yeah. I mean, this would be below Randy Field. No, I'm just kidding. Nothing. Randy Field should be opening the opener. But Justine Kish here, 7-5 for the now 34-year-old and every bit of 34. She's dealt with a lot of injuries in her career. She's gone through some shit. And if you get that joke, I know it's a terrible joke, but I took it. Fighting Jimmo here, 3 straight losses for her, 2 of them coming in the UFC. Split decision to Tracy Cortez. As you know, shout out to that. If Tracy Cortez is ever going to fight again or just take cringy pictures with Brian Ortega. And then got submitted by Sabina Mazo. That's not good. And then just totally outworked by Deanna Bennett to a decision. And now she gets McFarlane, the former flyweight champion. I think Bellator is one interest in getting McFarlane back towards competing for a title and getting the title away from Juliana Velasquez here. I mean, Justine Kish, she's a good, powerful striker. She wears as the fights go on. Doesn't have the power to really finish the fights. If this fight takes place primarily on the feet, she can compete. Sure, but I think McFarlane is just going to smother her, use her grappling, do whatever she wants here. She's going to have the crowd behind her, obviously. She's training with Liz Carmouche leading into this fight, so I really like that camp. Wins and stoppages over Latorno, Lara, Ducati. Those are all really great wins. And Vida Ortega, I even rate that one decently high. Kate Jackson is fine. And then a close fight with Juliana Velasquez, lost that. Got an armbar over Jessica I last March, but she hasn't fought in MMA since December of 2020. This is definitely a good tune-up fight for McFarlane to come back in against Justine Kish, though. Kish is takedownable, and McFarlane's going to dominate in this one.
Yeah, I think the game plan has to be just don't even entertain striking. Why let Justine into any realm of possibility where she could thrive, because she is still a powerful kickboxer. She's sensational leg kicks for, super dangerous, good counter striker as well, moves very well backwards, has a lot of power for a female fighter as well, which you don't get to see a lot. So it's really nice to see. But yeah, McFarlane should take this no problem. What are the odds for this one? Because I imagine they're pretty staggering.
I'm definitely shocked. I'm just catching up on the chat here. Yeah, Dark Sheep had Corey Anderson. That's rough. I would have been really upset as well. Sorry.
I was at Nemco, thank God.
yeah, I did too. And I was, let me tell you, did pretty well on a lot of fights. Did not do well on main events last week. Just to let everybody know, I went 0-3 on the main events last week of the LFA, Bellator, and UFC. So just letting everybody know, I did great on the rest of the card. Everything else I nailed, like 100, but 0-3 on main events last week. Kind of amazing. Really makes you think that you should ship my main event picks this week, because I can't go 0-4, 0-5. Like, I got to get one at some point. McFarlane, though, is only I'm just making sure, -300 favorite, plus 240 on Justine Kish. Huge value. There's your value of the card. McFarlane, definitely parlayable piece there. Add her to the parlays you want. Don't overthink this here. She's beating Justine Kish, in my opinion, and I think it will be thoroughly. So move on to the next fight. The last of the non-title fights, I should say, in Kyoji Horiguchi and Patchy Mix. This is a fantastic fight. I love both these fighters quite a bit. I'm a huge Patchy Mix guy, probably more than most. So I will advise people right there. Yeah. We got a Horiguchi fan, so here we go. This is a pretty classic matchup here, in my opinion. Patchy Mix, I think we know what Patchy Mix looks to do at this point. It's only 28 years old, which is just shocking to me. Very, very large for the division at 5'11", 71.5-inch reach, 7-inch reach advantage over his opponent in Kyoji Horiguchi. Not going to be too much of a factor, except with the grappling. I think that's where he uses that length a little bit more on the feet. Patchy is just, we know what he's looking to do. He's setting up the grappling or wrestling to get to the grappling, and often very quickly. What I have liked the last couple fights is he started to dispel a little bit of the rumor, really the last 3 fights, even though he did lose to Juan Archuleta, back in September in that fight for the bantamweight championship. Went 5 rounds in that fight. I think that was a huge, just confidence booster for Apache in his overall cardio. And then Albert Morales, it went to the 3rd round, but still, I like that he was able to keep the gas and finish him. Morales came in on short notice for that one. Got his James Gallagher fight after that. Exposed James Gallagher on the ground. But Gallagher was having the better of him on the feet, and striking-wise, Apache is just no threat. And I think it's very, very hard for me to take a fighter against a guy like Kyoji Horiguchi, who is not a threat in all realms. I think that's just going to be a huge problem for Kyoji or for Apache in this fight. That, and I think the speed of Apache is going to be a very big problem. But, we've seen it with Ryzen. We've seen it with Bellator. Apache is one of the best, grapplers in this division. He's a finisher when he gets it there, and he can dominate if the fight gets down there. I do rate Kyoji Horiguchi as one of the highest level opponents here, coming off that really great fight with Sergio Perez, which he was winning till that back fist.
Winning comfortably, yeah.
He was looking really, really good in that fight. Sergio Perez, one of the best strikers in all of Bellator, needless to say. I think this looks a lot like the Darian Caldwell type of performance for Kyoji. I anticipate more of that. He has got really good power, good submissions himself, good counter, particularly counter right hook. I think that will be pretty big for him. It's all about that takedown defense, though. If Apache can get those takedowns, I do think he can piece together even a decision, which probably isn't a really popular method of victory for Apache previously, but I've liked how he's been able to spread his wrestling over the fights here. This is a closer fight than I think the odds indicate, but I think that Horiguchi makes a resounding return and makes a statement. I don't think he's done yet, and I think that on the feet is such a bigger difference than the slight edge on the ground I'd give to Apache. It's a big edge on the feet to Kyoji. Big edge speed-wise, big edge still in regards to cardio, even though I think Apache's improved it. I don't think that's a route Kyoji's gonna be successful with Kyoji. Apache's got to get him down and get him in a submission in round 1. Otherwise, I think Kyoji starts to, put together a game plan and just beat him up on the feet and avoid the takedown. So I'll take Kyoji in this one. The price is not crazy on the price, honestly, but I got Kyoji.
What is the price?
Minus 285 plus 225 on Apache.
Okay. Well, it's no surprise I'm backing Horiguchi here. Not only for the reasons you said, but even if it does go to the ground, I think Kyoji is more than comfortable with competing with him. More than comfortable if he's on top. He's got an excellent top game, top pressure, moves into half guard, beats him up from half guard, likes to get that near side under, especially against the cage. So he can just pin the opponent down and just absolutely lay into him. Does it against the ropes back in Ryzen. So if he can do it against ropes, he can do it against the cage here. Apache is, very unthreatening on the feet, but especially to someone of Kyoji's level, where he has complete step-in checks, literally head movement for days. He's got some of the best head movement I'll see, some of the best movement I've ever seen for someone of this weight class. I was shocked when the UFC released him years ago because the guy is still so damn good. And I don't want to say fluke for Sergio Perez. That is the wrong word to use, but he was very fortunate because I think Horiguchi just got a bit too comfortable in that. He was teeing off on Sergio in moments of that fight, and Sergio didn't have a lot. He just pulled out one of those pettiest things out of the bag. Him and
I wonder what the odds would be on that rematch.
I think Horiguchi would still be a favorite.
I do too.
Yeah, just based on how he was winning. I'd argue 3 rounds into that. But I've got Horiguchi winning against Apache here. I think it will be a decision. And I do think Apache could win a round. I think if he manages to get the back, he could hold Horiguchi there in the same way Cody Yang got held by Sterling. But I don't think he's going to sub Horiguchi. I think Horiguchi is way too good on the ground to be subbed by someone of Apache, where Horiguchi knows Apache's doing this. He knows he doesn't have to train the feet. He just does his own game plan, and Apache's going to be shitting his pants every time he gets stood back up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're both on Horiuchi. This is the tournament quarterfinal, by the way, for bantamweight, obviously. This should be a good performance here for Kyoji. We were both on Stotts, by the way, against Magomedov. Yeah. Were you on Stotts against Magomedov, where that line was gigantic? Yeah, we were all on that. So, yeah, shout out to Raytheon Stotts, number one bet of 2021. Definitely up there for sure. That was a great bet. And, yeah, we were also on that against Magomedov. So, yep, we all ate that night. But speaking of Raytheon Stotts, we're to the co-main event. This, in my opinion, is the real main event. No offense to Cyborg. No. It's great to see her go out and dominate somebody, but this is a actual fight here between Juan Archuleta and Raytheon Stotts. Raytheon Stotts coming off that huge win against Magomedov. We're going to be talking about Raytheon Stotts first here. Huge fan of this kid. The UFC made a huge mistake not signing him. 33 years old, 17-1, and in my opinion, maybe the best 135er in Bellator, which is definitely saying something, including Horiuchi, including Perez. I really like this kid, man. He is, as his nickname says, super.
Got some good bantamweights at Bellator as well. Yeah,
really good bantamweights. Their bantamweight division definitely can stack up as close to UFC as any division, I think. Had a really impressive decision win over Magomedov. Used his speed, used the accurate striking, mixed it up beautifully. Great gas tank as well. Just his last two fights, the Josh Hill fight also just puts on 15-minute clinics in these fights and just looks extremely composed. Really bummed that Sergio Pettis fight got canceled. I would have loved to see that. Good ground game, more so than his striking, but his striking is very, very, competent. His one loss coming to Mirab Divashvili in 15 seconds by a spinning back fist. So really have no idea about that one. Otherwise, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd love to see that fight again. But maybe we'll see it eventually. Wins over, the veterans and Ryan Lilly, Jeff Curran, Rob Emerson, doing what he needed to there. The Levi Miles fight with LFA, a very good win as well. It's tough to take down, tough to keep down. He gets up, keeps going. He's really good speed in Bellator, 5-0. All four of his 5 fights going to decision and a rear naked choke in the third round. He's a technician. He really is. He doesn't force the finishes at all here. And I just think that this is a really, really good fight. He's got here still against the Spaniard Juan Archuleta. Just a kind of freaky that he's able to make bantamweight. He's a huge, massive guy coming off that loss to Sergio Pettis. Prior to that, outperformed Patchy Mix and kind of exposed that gas tank there to get that decision. This is going to be 5 rounds again. His last 2 losses coming to Patricio Pitbull and Sergio Pettis. I mean, no shame there. Really
obviously featherweight as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Patricio was at featherweight, and this is just one of these fights that it's going to be a war for those first few rounds. But I think that the edge is going to get wider and wider for Stotts as this fight goes on. I could see Archuleta taking the first round, perhaps even taking the first couple, but I think that Stotts is going to get stronger and better as this fight goes on, and I think that Archuleta is going to slow. I think that, they really match up well. Stotts definitely comfortable going 25 minutes, and I just think that, I think Stotts is just another level above Juan Archuleta here. And Juan Archuleta is very good. Stotts, to me, is elite. To me, the elite guys are Horiuchi and Stotts, and then Pettis. You got to put Pettis in there being the champion. So those would be my elite. The very good are the Juan Archuletas, the Patchy Mixes, the Mikhailov after he beats Barzola. That's the very good. And then Barzola's just pretty good. Because you're all going to be wrong. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Stotts here. I really, really do like him quite a bit, and loving the chat here. I'm trying to keep up with it here, but definitely come back for the UFC show tomorrow where we'll be talking about Starboy. But yeah, I like Stotts here, and I think it goes to full 25 minutes.
Yeah, what I rate Juan on is his 15-minute durability. If he can bank 3 rounds, he's very good at winning rounds. He knows what to do to keep out of danger, to let the judges know I'm winning this round. He's got brilliant counter striking, moves forward, hard pressure as well, so he can do it all. He has multiple ranges for striking, but where the advantage obviously majorly is with Stotts is the gas tank and the grappling.
Mm-hmm.
I see him taking over. 100% see him taking over. I really think he's the new breed of MMA fighter, where he's only going to get better with his hands. When you have the base of the grappling,
it's just too bad he's 33. That's the only problem. Like he fights and he acts like he's in his 20s. So you're like, oh man, like he's got such a young energy, but he is 33 and relies a lot on his athleticism.
Yeah, and I mean, I wonder how he'll look when he's say 36 as a bantamweight as well. Maybe you see him go up a weight class and he can continue that, that longevity. But I also like Stotts here. I think he is the real deal, and it's hard to get that calibration of who's real when you've got the one championship bantamweights, the UFC ones, the Bellator ones, because they all line up pretty well actually. They're all very even. I would still edge that the UFC has the best, but Stotts would definitely compete in, definitely the top 10, but arguably in the top 5. So I like Stotts as well. I don't know if you can finish Archuleta. He's so tough. So I like decision as well. I think it's a smart bet. I think Stotts by decision is smart, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Juan, banks them first 3 rounds as he nearly did against Perez as well. Yeah,
Archuleta's I think going to be significantly bigger too. I mean, and so that could be that could work against him in 5. Yeah, exactly. Plus 170 on Archuleta, minus 210 on Rafion Stotts. I think it's kind of a little close to really over parlay it, but I do think it's parlayable. Put him with McFarlane, put him with, a few others. But yeah, this is definitely going to be, I think, a closer fight than those odds indicate, just by a little bit, but I think they're just about right. So, minus 210 against a high level opponent is pretty impressive for Stotts, coming off of, I believe it was a plus 400 against Magomedov. And we just and he looked really good there. We have made it to the main event of our second event on this breakdown show. Shout out to Chad here. Really appreciate everybody who's joined us at any points in this. I will have the timestamps up after this as well. This isn't going to take long. Chris Cyborg versus Arlene Blencowe the second. It's been a long breakdown show here. We've broken down 21 other fights here. I'm not going to waste a lot of energy going through Arlene Blencowe's record. We saw how it went the first time. There's nothing that tells me this is going to go any different. If not, it's going to get ended quicker here by Cyborg. Cyborg dismantles Arlene Blencowe. Arlene Blencowe, you are so brave for taking this fight twice. I hope they paid you well. I hope you enjoy Hawaii. It's beautiful. I've been there before. I love it. Let's try to get Cyborg before she gets to 1,000, guys. That's a challenge. We don't have much time left. She's at minus 900. Cyborg. Yeah. First round KO.
I'll only say one thing to.
I did zero research for this fight. You can go ahead and comment on it.
You don't need to research.
Like I did. Like I watched the Cyborg highlight tape that Bellator released this morning, where she's killing everybody.
You didn't watch my video.
Well, I mean, I watched that. I always watch it. Yeah, but like, it's just I love Arlene Blencowe. She's a fun fighter. Arlene by domination. Go ahead and bet it. Glove touch. Chris Cyborg.
Yeah, the only thing for me in these is 1 round. It definitely major possibility, isn't it? The only thing for me is I try and find the ways that you can beat Cyborg, and the only way that you can beat her, and it's been shown you can beat her, is when she tries to pressurize you, stand your fucking ground and swing back. That is
which Arlene will do, I think.
Well, in the first fight, she did it for the first exchange. Cyborg took a shot, lowered her hands, and took 1 step back, and I shouted at the telly, fucking go forward, move forward now. And she took a step back. Cyborg moves forward, she gets against the cage, she gets taken down, she gets mauled.
Yeah.
You can't take a step back against Cyborg. What did Amanda Nunes do? She hit her with a counter shot, pushed Cyborg against the cage, and what happens? Cyborg lowers her hands, has her chin exposed. She's just powerful, Cyborg's going to decimate her.
Eric Cote looking at the 1.5, hoping that Arlene can survive into the 3rd round, perhaps.
Arlene faster than Nunes. No. Arlene is nearly 40 years old now as well. She ain't fucking beating Cyborg. I'd be shocked. I'd be absolutely. This would be a bigger upset than Juliana beating Amanda to me.
Yeah. This would be crazy. I mean, there's just nothing else to really say here. Chris Cyborg ends the back-to-back, and it's a KO for Chris. Shout out to Arlene, though. I really do.
She did get her first ever submission on her record against Arlene. That is Chris Cyborg's first ever sub. That really is a joke.
Hey, maybe we bet the sub again. I'm sure it will be a plus money.
There you go. Have some facts. Got some facts.
Yeah, that is a fact, Jack. But that is going to do it for the Bellator 278 and 279 show here. If you missed any of the breakdown, I'm going to have the timestamps up relatively soon here. I'm going to put those up. And we will be back tomorrow with the UFC breakdown show for the Andrade Lemos card. Still very good, still a good card. I think
the main event.
I think the main event's incredible. And I'll tell you, I've definitely thought more about the main event as we've gotten closer. That being said, I went 0-3 on main events last week. The rest of the cards murdered them. So maybe you just plug your ears and you bet Arlene Blencowe. Now, if I don't get any main event right the whole weekend, Cyborg will stop that. She will stop that. If she doesn't, you need to fade my main event picks forever, no matter what I go with. Shout out to Kelly. Shout out to Visceral. Shout out to the Glove Touch. Everybody else, you guys are killing it in the chat today. Really appreciate it. Eric Cote, haven't seen you here before, but like the mind there, looking at the 1.5 rounds open. Hopefully you'll check us out more. We'll be back tomorrow in about 22 hours with the UFC breakdown show. Lewis and I will be back for that. I also will be breaking down the LFA on Friday with Lucky Locks tomorrow. So double MMA breakdowns tomorrow, UFC followed by the LFA. So for Lewis of Norton MMA, for Aaron the dog, go follow Norton MMA on YouTube. Great stuff over there always. Potential matchups like Tanner Boser and Alexander Romanov. If you wonder about that fight, that definitely isn't scheduled.
If you want to watch a fight, what you thought Tanner Boser would happen, go check it out.
Hey, he gave Tanner Boser a shot. So, definitely good stuff. As always, Lewis, I will talk to you tomorrow. See you guys all tomorrow. Good luck on your bets. And don't forget, PFL starts tomorrow. So get those PFL bets in. PFL video on the channel right now. Peace out, everybody. Keep taking care of each other out there.